I'm pretty sure all of us know a player that we get excited about whenever they join our party. In this specific case, because they're good at the game. You probably don't know me, or maybe you do from either PF. I'm Maurice D, a Final Fantasy XIV player and streamer that likes the ultimate fights in this game. Except for the old ones. And well, today I'm yapping about how to become that player that everyone wants in their party. And before we start the video, make sure to subscribe if you haven't do so, like the video, dislike it, do whatever you want with it. Just let's not waste time and just hop right into it. So now, to clarify, I'm not the best player in the game. I do my damage, I have fun playing the game, sometimes. I play the jobs that I like, and I consider myself to be somewhat consistent. Sure, Strawberry. Okay, to be honest, God, my ego tells me like you're more consistent than that, than what I just said, but I still do mistakes. Like, they happen. Eventually they happen, I'm human, we all make mistakes, and the best thing that we do is just laugh about it and, you know, carry on and try to get that done. Anyway, the fact that you want to become a better player and you're trying to find resources, guides, videos, anything to give you that advantage already puts you ahead of so many players. And if you continue down this path, you'll start seeing how you become a better version of the player that you are right now. Also, I'm not gonna be talking about how to be like the best of the best, or optimizing in its full extent, or parsing. It's more focused to try and help build a base to start building your consistency from, and maybe some tips and tricks here and there. Now, before I start yapping about the actual stuff, I want to mention a big disclaimer. I may miss some stuff that you guys could be doing on your side that might be helpful. As I'm mentioning right now in this moment, this is how I personally do stuff, so it'll mostly be referencing me. And it could work for you as well as it might not. And by no means I'm trying to tell you to straight up just copy step by step what I do without at least trying to understand part of how I view this game or why I do certain stuff. Now, this is something that you do not achieve overnight. It will take time, practice, discipline, and determination. Mistakes will happen, and they're okay. We are human after all, and we all make mistakes at some point. The most important part is to learn from them and try our best to not repeat them. A mistake does not define you. You need to know your limits. You need to know where you're standing in order for you to know where to go. Maybe you're a new player that wants to get good at this game. Or maybe you're a player that feels stuck in this game and cannot seem to find a way to improve. If you ever hit this wall in your progress, please reach out to people. Do not be scared or afraid of them. People are more than willing to help. If you have any questions at all, ask them. There will be people who are more than willing to help you out to improve. To wrap up this small section, I want to bring up some of my favorite quotes from an anime I like. You do it right and you do it every day. Repetition, perseverance, and diligence just feels good. I am built upon the small things I do every day, and the results are nothing more than a byproduct of that. If you know who and where I'm quoting from, write it down below. And well, we can't have any process at all if we don't have the important step 0. Taking care of yourself outside a fight is as equally as important as your performance inside the fight. So get some sleep, make sure you eat, take a break if you need to, especially if you've been going at it for a huge amount of time. The amount of times that I've seen clears and clearies perform poorly because of this has been unbelievable. I say this because, in my opinion, it should be a little bit of a common sense that if you're tired, that you should take a break. But I understand sometimes people want to get that clear right there and then. Sometimes it's okay to take a break. The game will still be there today, tomorrow. Take your time and take care of yourself. Now, I personally feel and think that you need 2 important pieces to be able to become that consistent raider. You need to know your fundamentals, and you need to learn how to actually be consistent. Now, starting with the fundamentals, you need to understand how the game basically works. These are some that I'm going to mention that I consider essential. I might miss some, or there might be some others that you can consider fundamentals. In that case, write them down below. I wish to know how you see them. For me, these are the ones that I consider and I start using them to build my consistency from, and in some cases, I call them the bare minimum for me. We're gonna start with rotation. Do I understand the job? Do I know its opener, its 1 minute and 2 minute burst? Basically, do I know the combos and how to keep the GCD rolling? For the combo part, healers are exempt from this. Of course, they only have one button, but they do have something else to think about, which is on the next point, the kit and utilities. Do I know basically what my non-DPS buttons do? Do I know my mids? Do I know the duration? What do they do exactly? And how you can use them throughout a fight and communicate with your party so you can have pretty much a safe passage through mechanics damage. The timeline awareness. Do I know what happens in the fight by memory? Or have an idea of what to do when a mechanic is about to happen? The nature of mechanics. Not only knowing what happens in the fight, but also knowing how they happen. If it is recoverable, if it's not, that type of stuff. Because knowing where to go is equally as important as knowing why you must go to a certain spot. Playing safe first over greed. Playing safe first allows you to use your whole attention to try and understand the mechanic. Once you learn it, you can start pushing that limit little by little. In my opinion, you can start JPing it, which is what people do. They just drop their whole GCDs and they start doing the mechanic. It's a good practice, it's a bad practice. You can view it as however you want. You can also try and do the mechanic while doing some GCDs, keep it rolling. Yet it's up to you as a player. The best way for you to do it, just adapt to it and try to build it from there. And last but not least, make sure you have BIS, or at least close to, when it comes to like cases of being synced down and sync down content. People don't think it too seriously, but it's far more detrimental than what meets the eye. Being one piece off is bearable, it's not noticeable, but whenever you're completely BIS off when it's synced content, it's noticeable. Make sure you have proper pots and foods for the fight. Now, the actual consistency. To me, I try to make every single pool feel like they're all the same. Unless under certain mechanics, it involves a certain degree of randomization under this same mechanic, but done with another role or number, just like Limit Cut, P3 Nidhogg from DSR, Delta and Sigma from Top P5, and other mechanics. Repetition. In this case, I learn mostly by doing the fight over and over again. Just like any other prog, we all do this, right? But to some people it may be weird, but inside this repetition, what I mean is like I learn the fight specifically by the GCDs that I press. In this sense, I'm also learning where my 2 minute and 1 minute bursts are going in the fight, and this is how I basically learn the entire timeline just by pressing the same buttons. The camera angle. I try to position my camera a certain way every pull and every pattern so I can recall exactly which fight and which role I am on. For example, if I'm doing off-tank in DSR, in P3 Nidhogg, I always position my camera to look southwest. This is just a thing that I developed while I started, progging, and it just stuck with me. If we go one phase further on P4 eyes, I position my camera so I just look at one eye, specifically the one that I'm going to tank. These are little things that I start developing whenever I am progging. So having the prog with a certain visual cue to remind yourself of like where you are is imperative to like help your mind remember where you're on. And this combined with the next step, which is initial positioning, makes it even easier to remember where you're from. So the initial positioning is a specific spot or a general area where I personally like to stand. If we continue the previous example, I like looking at southwest, yet I position myself always at northeast from the boss. And this is from P3, by the way. So this was developed during prog, and it just stuck through every single time that I play now. Same for P4. I like standing a little bit closer towards the eye and looking at said eye so I know I'm going towards that eye and I'm gonna grab aggro from it. So it's pretty much combining these two cues for you to have such a better time remembering in which part of the fight you're on. The nature of mechanics. I'm gonna be talking more in depth with this fundamental because to me it is important to understand how a mechanic works, because it can help you solve a mechanic by yourself without the help of any callouts. It can also help you recover a lot of pulls that may look unrecoverable. Also, learning the common types of mechanics that you see in this game helps you understand this premise. To say some of the most used or common ones are Proteans, Spread, Partners, Party Stack, Enumeration, Dynamo Chariot, In Out, Prot Nisi, Tethers, Proximity, Gaze, between so many others. But not just learning the type by itself and what they do, standing alone, but also how combining them elevates the difficulty of a mechanic inside a fight. This also can include visual cues that you may need to look out for on the boss or the arena itself. For example, in DSR P5 Death of the Heavens, you have to look out for the Eye and Thornton solve the gaze right before a knockback. If we go one phase further in P6, during Hallowed Wing, Kreisvelger's head determines the proximity on which the players get targeted for the tank buster. Now moving on to if a pull is recoverable or not recoverable. For a more specific example, in the DSR P2, Strength of the Ward, if someone dies to the Earthquake or Ascalon's Mercy, it is 100% recoverable. So as long as they didn't die to the Night Sashes, moving their body away, and of course I'm assuming the healer or the wrestler has Swiftcast, but as long as the other conditions are met, you know you can recover it. Now, of course, the opposite is also true. If you know how a certain mechanic works, you know for a fact that some mechanics you cannot recover at all. For example, in top P6 in its entirety, no one can die. If you die, you lose your Dynamite buff. Losing the Dynamite buff, you lose the LV, the free LV that you get, but you also lose the damage reduction that it comes with it. And this damage reduction, it's important because you need to get hypermitted to at least survive one mechanic. But it is impossible to keep you hypermitted for all the mechanics that happen in a row. So it's important to know. Finally, give it time to click. Putting together your fundamentals and ways to remind yourself of certain parts of the fight, what I call the consistency, are key to making this game feel like a walk in the park. The more you do these fights, the more you get used to them, the faster you learn to identify the mechanics, the faster you can get used to them, the faster you can adapt. You can see where I'm trying to get at. Basically, it boils down to the more you play the game, the easier it becomes. Unless you're playing completely wrong from the start. But that's okay, because whenever you notice or someone else notices you that you're doing something wrong and they approach you, they are trying to help you become a better player. By no means they mean it in a harmful way, because there have been some cases that some toxic players that they think they're the best of them all, that they think they're the best it exists, that basically you don't pay their sub, these types of players. Please try not to fall in this mindset, because a skilled player will know something is wrong and will be able to pinpoint who it is. And if they ever give their input, their advice, they're trying to help you. And lastly, one of the most important skills in the game is to never give up. I'm not saying don't take a break, because you may get burned out a little bit, or to keep playing it every single day. There may be some days that you need that mental reset, and that's okay. The opportunity to overcome, to triumph, will always be there. So don't be afraid to take a break if you need to, as long as you always keep reaching for that goal. It will always be there, you just need to read. And honestly, this whole section feels a bit light. And that's because this is a mindset. And it takes practice, it takes time. And you must take all of these small steps and remember to do them every single time that you're out there. take it one step at a time. And that's about it. I tried to be as simple as it could be. The reason behind this decision was because I see the game that way. I don't necessarily overcomplicate stuff, and I don't necessarily overburden myself. I take it one small step at a time. Now, you may be nervous if you're out there, and you may feel like you're going to fail. Then that's okay, it's fair. But let me tell you that no matter what happens, you will keep moving forward. As long as you have that desire in you, you will see that you will achieve what you want. Let me know what you guys think about this type of video, or if you have any video topic recommendation to yap about or anything at all, let me know down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.